The way I listen to music, I have been told, is odd. Oftentimes, I will find a single track that just grabs me and listen to nothing else for literal days. On rare occasions, I will fall in love with an entire album and walk the streets of Seoul for 4 days exclusively to the Bunny the Bears The Way We Rust, but usually it's just the one track. And I genuinely enjoy that, repeating a great song over and over again until it turns into danceable white noise, which is what I'm going for. I'm not studying or even attempting to retain the songs. Heck, there are songs I have listened to upwards of 1,000 times that I do not know the words to. Though in my defense, I do listen to a lot of music where the lyrics can be difficult to decipher. Hello, by the way, and welcome to the Week I Review. My name is the kind of guy who sits during metal shows, and today I'm talking about a band that has put together a number of songs that I have lost days to, and also went to see perform approximately 59 hours before this video is being posted. Dance, Gavin, Dance. DGD, as the cool kids probably call them, was actually introduced to me by my girlfriend, which was a clarifying moment both musically and romantically. She played Chucky versus the Giant Tortoise from their 2016 release Mothership, which she had developed an obsession of her own for, and right from the opening, I was hooked. Here, let's listen to like 8 or so seconds from the intro and you'll get what they're about.
Give me that canvas, let me write some shit. Pass me some poison, let me take a hit. I'm just embarrassed and comfortably numb. But failure is painful and lying is fun.
Right? It's a banger. The most immediately arresting thing isn't the virtuosic instrumentalism, but the incredible contrast between Tillian Pearson's awesomely high notes and John Mess's guttural growls. They're two great tastes that truly taste great together. Now, it's a fairly common combination in post-hardcore, so much so that it could almost be seen as a defining characteristic of the genre, but no one does it better. And that's really thanks to Pearson, because his vocal quality, which we're going to call timbre, and hope I'm using that word right, is unique in general, but particularly with this kind of music. A lot of clean vocalists in the genre are kind of interchangeable. That isn't to say untalented, but they all have this sort of raw intensity that kind of locks them into post-hardcore or something heavier. Because intense vocals like that require music that matches the viscerality. Even when the music gets lighter, it never really leaves the genre because of those vocal qualities. Pearson, who took over in 2012 from less unique though still talented vocalists, is kind of the opposite. While he can do intensity, as evidenced on songs like Mothership's Inspire the Liars, that's not really what he goes for. Instead, he just sounds comfortable up on those crazy high notes, not strained or pushed or screamed, maybe a little breathy, but not in a bad way. It's a voice that could show up in any genre and stand out only for the right reasons, which is good because their songs swing from heavy as hell to groovy as heck on a moment's notice. And if you were to listen to the first minute of, say, Instant Gratification's Death of a Strawberry, you would just assume they were alt-rock. Only when John Mess comes in 85 seconds into the track would you think something was different. Of course, this is in direct contrast to the way they handle Chucky versus the Giant Tortoise, or Artificial Selection's penultimate track Bloodsucker, which opens with 30 seconds of intense screaming before Pearson comes in. But even there, he comes in over this more intense music without being more intense himself. He is the one who sounds out of place. But that's precisely why it works, because his voice in that context is so unexpected but so objectively impressive that you're caught off guard and immediately enamored. The way that the two are integrated with or actively contrast against the melodies underneath is what makes the band so dynamic and fun to listen to. And fun to see, too. There was a video passed around on Twitter a couple of weeks ago of a security guy at a Gavin dance show completely bewildered by Chucky versus the giant tortoise. Pearson saw it on Twitter and called him a legend. It's a good reaction, one that makes sense if you're being thrown into this sort of thing for the first time, especially because of the joy with which it's being performed. A thing that I really do like about their live shows is that they have these little electronic interludes that are played between songs. Sometimes they're like distorted versions of tracks, while others seem to be something else entirely that they might play along with or maybe not. But it does keep the energy up even while folks are changing instruments or telling New York how much they appreciate us all coming out. And then once they get into the songs, they crush it. I have long preferred a quality live performance to a studio one. The Black Parade is Dead is at least 3.5 times as good as the studio version. But not every band can really hack it live. Immediately before Dance Gavin Dance on Friday was Periphery, a band that I have now seen and been underwhelmed by twice. While I think Spencer Sotelo Scream is actually better in person, his clean vocals are weak by comparison, and it's unfortunate. On the other hand, both Pearson and Mess sound fantastic. Mess sounds exactly the same as he does on the record, while the minor dip from perfection on Pearson's part is more than made up for by his performative energy. It's kind of funny, actually, how different the two singers are in performance as well as vocal style. Mess just doesn't move around much and absolutely locks in place while he's screaming. Pearson, on the other hand, is more typical in that he is constantly moving around the stage, whether he is singing or not, but especially when he's not, because he uses Mess's verses as a time to practice some incredibly sensual body rolls. It's all a little silly, much more so if you actually look into what they're saying, and Mess in particular. Chucky versus the Giant Tortoise is a pretty good example, what with the line, riding a rhino pico de gallo. But I think the perfect verse is his first from Artificial Selection's Midnight Crusade. Brontosaurus, fear of art is torn apart by making. Good mistakes and branching out, he switch it up like bacon. The more I tried to sleep it off, the more I started thinking. I wanna live in Mushroom Park, do unrestricted shrinking. That's hilarious. And Pearson, well, he threatens to take your confetti away. This ability to be light amidst all of the angsty anger of their genre is so refreshing. A lot of their music deals with heavy themes, but there's a levity to their own production that just brings it all together. They don't take things too seriously, and their work is so much better for it. Which is ultimately what it comes down to. Dance Gavin Dance feels like a band that hasn't compromised. That, they're a bunch of weird dudes who really like making weird, specific music and have somehow found this huge success in the process. Like, they're getting away with something crazy. You listen to their music and you see them perform, and it's so clear how much they love what they're doing. You just have to love it too. At least I do. 9.3 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, that's great. If not, I'm sorry. If you want to see more, please subscribe. I hope to see you next week.